What's up? What's up? What is up? It's another Friday, another opportunity to get together and record the Ball Hog Sports Talk. We got the whole crew in the building, baby, as we transition from October to November. I still wore my pink Kango in celebration in honor of all of those who have fought breast cancer, those who are survivors of breast cancer, and for all of us as people that have been impacted by breast cancer. I wanted one last day of my pank. That's right, P-A-N-K, pank is how we pronounce that word. Welcome to the Ball Hog Sports Talk, man. We're going to get in today. You know what it is. It's where sports, business, and entertainment collide, where a few businessmen get together to discuss sports in an entertaining fashion. It is the experience known as the Ball Hog Sports Talk. Today's episode is going by the title of Pay Attention to the Signs. We've all been in relationships where the signs have been there. We've all been in situations where we should have known, could have known, before you got into a job, before you went to a neighborhood. So many signs that we just don't pay attention to. As you know, with the Ball Hog Sports Talk, our titles go a long way. So stay tuned. There's going to be a lot of interesting sports business entertainment discussed today. Pour you one of them large cup of coffees. One of the big old mugs, man, and spike it with whatever you want because sports business entertainment is coming to you. It's going to be rough, rugged, and raw. The whole crew is in the building. So let's go. Wake up, wake up, wake up, and stay woke because this is the Ball Hog Sports Talk with your boy, B. Brown, ESQ, a.k.a. the Ball Hog, a.k.a. the Mouth of the South. This is the place where sports, business, and entertainment collide. And we're going to give it to you rough, rugged, and raw, so come get you a spoonful, like some grits with butter and salt. You know how we do it in the South, y'all. Make sure you do not get caught in your feelings. Strap on your seatbelt and enjoy the ride. Come on. Let's go. That boy look good at that pank, baby. That boy look good at that pank. Yeah, I'm talking about, man, if I don't, I'm looking at myself. I look good at that pank. What up, gentlemen? We got the whole crew in the building. You know what it is, man. We fresh off of Breast Cancer Awareness Month, but I'm still representing my pank. I get to be in the room.
You had me at breast. I don't know what you said after that.
Yeah, after you just stuck on the word breast. In the vibe with the whole crew we got from the Middle Coast, thou who shall be known as, intergalactically respected as, and you better salute him as it when you see him in them streets, in the mean streets of Chicago. He's representing Evanston today. My man, the man, the myth, the legend, the Big Flow Show's in the building. What's up, brother?
What's good? What's good, America? How's everybody this morning?
You know what it is. Feeling good, baby. Feeling real good, man.
Temperature done changed in Chicago, boy. We quit playing our heat bill. We just cut it off like an eviction. And just boom, it's just straight winter.
It's gone quick. No warning whatsoever.
It
snowed in Chicago recently. True.
It snowed, but it didn't stay yet. So we still fighting. That's what we call the warning shot. They gave us the warning shot. You know, to get the sales going. The stores ordered this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Throw a little snow out there. People start buying sweaters. I was thinking about some pants I could pick up at the store. And then they give you a couple more days to get the shipments in. They got a little deal with Amazon. Amazon.
Yeah,
got a little deal.
Yeah, you one of them dudes that feel like the government, conspiracy theorists.
The government picked that up. They just said, hit him with the number one snow. We don't hold that. Boom. So we got hit with it. So you're prepared now. If you don't have a code in your car, then that's on you. I don't know.
That's on you. You have been warned. We also got in the building, man, for today's episode because the whole crew is here. Thou who shall be also respected and intergalactically known. Now it's the Big Flow Show because he's Mr. Beantown. Everything and anything, Boston and in between. Although he's represented on the East Coast in Jersey now, he don't ever leave the heart that is Boston. My man, ETP, Ellis, the producer. What's up, my brother?
Good morning. I'm not feeling great right now for a couple reasons. But just to clarify, outside of Massachusetts, I'm from Boston, but inside I'm from Cambridge, Massachusetts. So just to be clear,
that's a distinction.
Patrick Ewing. What's that?
That's a distinction between Boston and Cambridge.
That is. And except when you leave the state, I could, the farther away you get, you're from Boston.
I can vibe on that because people like to say, you're from South Florida, like, are you from Miami? No, I'm from Fort Lauderdale. But outside of the area, I'm okay with South Florida. Even if somebody said Miami, I wouldn't fight them if it's outside. I got you on that. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, if you go out the country, you might run into some traveler. They say they're from Boston, and they're actually from Maine.
Yeah, the whole New England thing. I got you.
It's all one little area. We all like the Patriots.
Whole little area right there, man.
In Chicago, the problem is it's dangerous. If you say you're from Chicago and somebody's from Chicago that's there, they might want to fight you. It
might lead to some problems and situations. I think ETP froze on us. I don't know. So he'll be back. Let me get him out of there. He froze on us. We'll bring ETP back. Today's episode is paying attention to the signs, man. We got to pay attention to the signs. And there are signs that we all see. Now, we got if you're someone that sign language and you communicate in that way, those are those signs. But in football especially, baseball especially, in sports, there are signs that we use in order to signal plays, strategies, substitutions. All of these things are communicated by way of signs. Because you have on your Northwestern attire today, I feel it's only right that we start with the story that is front and center in the Big Ten. And that story has to do with Jim Harbaugh and his decision. Well, he says it wasn't his decision. His involvement, whether directly or indirectly, in one of their associates traveling to games paid by the university on their books as getting paid as an employee, but also at all of these games stealing the signs and giving them, University of Michigan, an advantage. What say you, man? This
they call that cheating.
Is over you now. What's going on in the Northwest?
They call it cheating
in the Big Ten.
In the Big Ten, they call it cheating. First of all, it's not. It's no longer stealing's not cheating.
I can't say allegedly anymore. It's just cheating.
Connor Stallions. There's so much evidence, and the thing about it is they're so stupid. I mean, they did such a.
That was the guy's name, Connor Stallions.
Stallions is the guy who you can't find right now. Like, he's nowhere to be found. He probably hasn't been seen. He doesn't even order food on the grill anymore. But the worst thing about it, he bought tickets to all these games. Since 94, I believe, was the year that they banned in-person scouting. Can no longer send anybody to the games.
Right. Okay.
So some people you got to go back and we date ourselves because I was still there in 94. You were just about to get there in 95. In our day, you ran the play-in with the receiver. You ran the play-in, did whatever.
So let me just paint the background for them. What he's saying is that when we're on offense, we want to we're on first down, we get 3 yards. Now it's 2nd and 7. A receiver is right next to the coach. The coach is going to tell that wide receiver what the play is. That person runs it into the huddle. And now 2nd and 7, whatever play we're going with, that receiver is communicating that with the quarterback and the rest of the huddle.
Right. Was it always a substitution, or did the receiver sometimes come to the sideline because he was?
It was always a substitution if you're in a huddle because of the rule of not having 12 men in the huddle. So, yes.
Okay.
Nowadays they do no huddle, but I digress. I'm just painting the background.
No, but I was wondering, was it ever 10 men and one of the receivers, the outside, the X on that side, decided he had to come talk? But anyway, that's irrelevant. So the reason why I'm bringing up the fact that they ran in receivers is that they weren't doing signaling in our day on the sidelines. They weren't holding up the big signs you see now with crazy caricatures and guys making signs or whatever.
Right.
But when they decided that they were going to stop in-person scouting, the complexity of your signals only had to last you through a game, because during the game, it would be very hard to decipher what's going on and run statistics and think, okay, they did this play, what was the sign? Because you don't have a chance to do that. So people only had to be a certain level of sophistication. Did people try to figure out your signs and figure it out? Yeah. Did somebody maybe in the fourth quarter get a good guess and figure out, I think that this sign means so-and-so? I'm sure that's happened. But on a large scale, it wasn't there. Well, Connor Stallions was buying tickets to everybody's games. They think it was like in one season, it was 30 games. He was buying them in his own name. He was sending people to these games. Then he was Venmoing. This I never like Venmo because Venmo shows, unless you do some privacy, it shows the public like what you spend your money on.
Right.
That doesn't interest me at all. I don't want to see what you spend your money on, nor do I want you to see what I spend my money on. But he was Venmoing people travel expenses, doing whatever for going to the games or whatever. So there's just a mountain of evidence. Then even make it even worse, they found a picture of him on the sideline of Central Michigan when they played Michigan State, on the sideline with Central Michigan uniform on, like not uniform, but like kind of official gear on.
Yeah.
Which begs to question whether Central Michigan was in on it. They've yet to comment on who that person was, if it was not, in fact, Connor Stallions. I'm assuming by now somebody would have said, that's me. If it wasn't Connor Stallions, right? He would have come forward and been like, whatever. He had sunglasses on. I believe it was a night game. They said that the glasses had spyware in them. I mean, it's bad. They did it. Like, there's no doubt. They did it. Now, the NCAA has been taking a long time for the investigations, but now the Big Ten is demanding, the Big Ten member universities are demanding that the Big Ten commissioner, I think it's Tony, I had his name a second ago, but I forgot it now. Yeah, they're demanding that he takes action. Michigan State has written a letter saying, hey, when we had a fight in the tunnel, you guys made me suspend my players before the investigation was over. Purdue has come forward and said, hey, there's how many kids have been subject to injury because they're playing against somebody who knows where they're going to be and they can just tee off.
Which I think is a bit extreme, but I get
it's a bit extreme, but you start looking and say, okay, look at if you've seen the video where they show Connor Stallion whispering to Harbaugh after the signal, they're running right, and they're on the goal line, and basically Michigan sells out and everyone just flies to the ball. I get it to say that the person's going to get injured, but when when I was in college, I spent a little bit too much time on the scout team, but one of the things that would happen is we'd blow up a play. And Coach O's would get mad. God damn it, run that shit again. Run it again. And I'm like, I made the tackle when I had no idea what the play was. What do you think is going to happen now? I know exactly where it is. 99% of the time, you made the tackle and you got the play and you smashed it. In football, if I know where you're going to go and we have any sort of equality in talent, I'm going to get there every time and you're not going to beat me. The only reason why Michigan probably lost games is because some of the teams that they had to play, they couldn't scout the same way. So it's a big deal. And I think
your point, because you pointed out something to me the last time we talked about this, because now the story has grown. For those of you who have been under a rock and have not heard what's going on, I wanted Big Flo to sort of paint the picture, and you did a great job of doing that. But now we got to get into the details of it because the story has now gone on for about 2 weeks, whether it be because of competitive advantage, whether it be because just normal rivalry, Michigan State, Purdue, or whether it be because of legitimate concerns. The story has grown because other Big Ten teams are saying, you got to do something about this. Now, you described the spy, shall we call him, at the Central Michigan game. I think for those who are here in the Ball Hawk Sports Talk dungeon, if you're here with us, I think it helps to see. For those watching live, you see the image there. The man in the shades, they do look like some James Bond 007 shades. You see he is wearing a Central Michigan hat. He is not a Chippewa. He is indeed an employee for the Michigan Wolverines.
And he looks like he thinks something stinks because it does.
The face that he has there while he is on the sideline for a Central Michigan game, while Central Michigan is playing Michigan State being the local rival, in-state rival of the University of Michigan Wolverines, something does stink. You gotta, there is no clearer evidence of this than the picture, but then the point that you made is that there's even more evidence if you look at where Harbaugh was in his coaching record at University of Michigan, struggling to get over the hump and beat the foe, which is Ohio State, but also every year inexplicably losing games that he should not have lost because of the recruiting that he was doing. On the brink of potentially losing his job, and every year interviewing for an NFL job.
Took a pay cut.
Wasn't
interviewing back then.
And then all of a sudden,
the juggernaut starts.
Boom. The record improves drastically. They're starting to win the big games.
Where did he get his credentials from?
So when you look at that right there, those are like some official.
Where do you get those credentials from?
So I'll say this. I'm gonna give you a quick story. We played Navy in Philadelphia probably my junior year. We met a guy on the street that we affectionately called Philly every day, ever since that day. Philly wanted to go to the game. We didn't have any tickets. And he's like, nah, here's what we're going to do. Just give me some of your official gear. Look at this guy's hat and jacket, whatever. And I'll take it from there. Just let me know what time you guys are supposed to be there, whatever. No cell phones back then, so this is kind of rudimentary. Philly would show up at the bowl games and major games. He would have on our official gear that somebody would let him borrow. Like someone give him a hat, somebody gave him a jacket, do whatever. When we got off the bus, Philly would hold the crowd back, right? And then once, and this is a true story. Once we came in, he walks in with everybody else. He looks like he belongs, and he's working, he's helping. He would work with a straight face like this guy the whole game. And I've sit that at the bowl game. I've been with this dude at least 2 to 3 bowl games, 2 Cotton Bowls, and then I think when I graduated, when you guys played Florida State, he was at that game. He is sitting there working. At the end of the game, when Coach Holtz does his interview, Philly is there holding the crowd back on the camera doing. He has no ticket to the game. He gets in where he fits in, but he wore official wear. And I watched this dude do this. I wish Cliff Stroud was paying attention. He could give us his real name, put him out there, because he needs to be in the Hall of Fame for imposters. But he would do it. He would never want a ticket. And he said, don't worry, I got it. And he never failed. He always got it.
There are people who do it.
I don't want to disrespect your age or anything by what I'm going to say. But I'm just going to say it's a different time now where the credentials and security, I'm not talking about age. I'm just saying I don't see any 10 years ago, 20 years ago, however many years ago now, credentials and all that, the protocols that they have now are much more much different. There's more money involved now. And so I'm just surprised that this man could get credentials. If that's him,
the only thing is, though,
official credentials,
if you look at with all
neck.
the visits, if you go to visit school right now, my son or your son or daughter goes to visit a school, they're going to print him up a very professional lanyard in a laminated, really smooth looking thing on the spot. Whatever field passes that they had, if he had the way he's good at spying, he probably could have doctored one up. I don't see him wearing any credentials. I personally
think he has something around his neck, though.
Does it? I can't. To me, I can't see it.
Yeah, it looks like something there. He's got his arms folded over it, but there is definitely something hanging from his neck.
So here's what I think happened. This is my conspiracy theory. Those looks like it folds to me, but I can see it looks like a lanyard. You're right. I see it. Little dark maroonish. Here's what I think happens. I think he had some. This is on a Friday night at East Lansing. They played on a Friday night game. He calls up and he was probably like, listen, I need to get on your sideline. I just want to see how physical their DBs play against them. Something that seemed very harmless and not really that big of a deal. Probably got one of his buddies who's an assistant coach over there that he knows to get him on the sideline and did whatever. Now that it's blown up, that person's gone dark. That person's on the underground. He's in witness protection right now because he didn't know that this dude was going to wear. They're saying those are spy sunglasses because it was a night game. I don't know why he's got total blackout sunglasses on in the middle of the night on a Friday night
those
game.
Those are the meta. He had the camera in it.
He had the camera in there, and he's doing what he's going to do. But I think that he had to have some sort of an inside scoop because they run a pretty tight ship of who's on the sideline in general. But at an away game, I will say you might catch a new face. At a home game, I think it's all the same people.
Here's we can go back and forth and speculate as much as we want. Here's the challenge that Harbaugh and the University of Michigan had. Is because if he's an independent actor, just going to the game to steal signs, A, he shouldn't be on your payroll. B, he should never be on your sidelines. And then C, when you start adding 2 + 2 = 4, and you look at when the turnaround for University of Michigan football happened, there's an odd correlation between this man being a part of their program.
He was a part before they were bad, but he didn't stand in the white. When you watch him in the game, he was in the background, but he wasn't standing in the white. Anybody who stands in that white stripe with the paint,
protected area, right?
He's got a job. That person's got a job that's sanctioned by the head coach.
Or if you've got video footage of him whispering before a key down,
that wasn't
something to Harbaugh, that no one that's just not a random person. Yeah. You're not asking me, what I'm eating for dinner when it's 2nd and 2 in a key game. The only people that have the ear of a head coach at that point are people that they're depending on for strategy. And so when you add all of this up together, there's this mountain of evidence that shows that Michigan looks like they're cheating. So when I say pay attention to the signs, yes, we're talking about the signs that this man stole from other teams, but there's also the signs that the Big Ten have to deal with that are just right there in our face. They cheated in plain sight, and yet the Big Ten hasn't done anything about it. Now, I hate Michigan because I'm a Notre Dame fan. I'm trying to take that out of the equation and just say, on the face of it, objectively, should the Big Ten be doing something about this now, or is the Big Ten, right, because they've got their own self-interest, smart to hold off on this because they've got two teams with legitimate opportunities to win a national championship. One of them is the school up north, and one of them is the OHI, whatever. I don't know how they refer to one another.
There's a lot of syllables in there.
A lot of whatever that is, right? But they represent University of Michigan represents a full 1/2 of the remaining opportunity that the Big Ten has to win a national championship or be at least in the college football playoffs this year.
Mm-hmm.
So what does the Big Ten do?
I mean, in this situation, I can totally see the motivation for the Big Ten commissioner. He's going to have to just the only punishment that you can do, that I can imagine, is forfeiture of the game because you cheated to win the game, right? If they had an official player, and
if you forfeit the game, forfeit which game? Let's be specific, because you can't forfeit this year's game and still be considered
all of them.
All games from when?
At least this year, every Big Ten game this season at a minimum, right? You have to forfeit.
So they can't play.
Then they're done.
What do you do for the rest of the season?
You're done. Well, the rest of the season, they. I mean, here's the thing about it that makes it so bad. The Big Ten told Michigan State that they do not have to play the game against Michigan because they know that Michigan has your signs. So it's the Big Ten's not claiming to not know the truth.
Admission is there, absolutely.
They said you do not have to play. Michigan State was saying, look at how we had to change our preparation starting on Wednesday. Now that we had to go do all new signs for the rest of the week, that's taken away from our preparation. That's not why they beat you 49-0 or whatever that score was. It was a pretty bad beating. And, you had a little warning, so hopefully you weren't still doing – now, if you still use the signs, that's on you. But my point is you can't just say, all right, we're going to suspend Harbaugh. I mean, if you're looking at this, the only solution is forfeiture of games. And they don't want to do that. First of all, what a horrible black eye that is for the Big Ten. Probably biggest scar scandal in the history of the conference if you do it. As a Northwestern.
Do we agree there? Because we're gonna change topics, but let's stop there. You said probably the biggest scandal of the Big Ten, and here's what I have seen in terms of the temperature when it comes to the sports world community, sports talk community. You're either on one end of the extreme. Either you're somebody who makes a statement like this is the biggest scandal that we've ever seen in the Big Ten, or you are just so nonchalant about it because you are saying that all sports, and I started there, in all sports, whether it be collegiate or professional, we start assuming, right, the baseline is that we are cheating. If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. That's why they have the placards over the mouth. That's why people have fake calls, dummy calls. Baseball is the model citizen of stealing signs, right? It's like we understand that people cheat and try to steal signs to get some competitive advantage, so it's not a big deal at all. And this conversation has two very, very extreme takes on whether or not this is a big deal. ETP, I'm going to go to you on this one because Big Flo said this might be the biggest scandal ever in the Big Ten. And there's a lot of sports talk that is saying this is no big deal at all. what do you say in terms of how we approach this? Because maybe the Big Ten isn't doing anything because the Big Ten is using it, is seeing it more from the nonchalant extreme of this ain't a big deal. People have been cheating and trying to cheat forever, and we know that. That's why they are fake calls. That's why people try to hide their mouth when they say something. Where do you fall?
So I don't know if it's the biggest scandal ever. It's probably the most controversial thing we've heard come out of the Big Ten ever, in terms of, fair play. I think I can see both sides of it. It's similar, and we can skip right over it, but like when the Patriots got caught with the Spygate controversy.
Yeah, there it is. I was hoping I like you.
No,
I mean, let's get to
it. And so it's not that they didn't do something, but they were doing something that was an accepted practice throughout the league to whatever extent. Like, we don't have to get into the details of like where did they cross the line versus where they didn't, but if it's something that we just know it's accepted, it's just like, just don't get caught for it, or don't piss the wrong person off and it won't come to light.
Let me just ask you this.
Piece. Yeah.
Let me just ask detail, because you said when they were cheating, Spygate, but they were cheating also with deflating the football. So which cheating?
See, but this is
yeah, which cheating?
I'm just trying to clarify.
We just want clarity for the viewers.
I said Spygate. You want to dig into the archive?
Oh, Spygate. My bad. You did say
Spygate. Look, I didn't expect us to go down this path. This whole ball deflating thing, like, that's a joke, but whatever. Let's assume that that's real life, but whatever. So I'm just saying, like, to use that example, like, it's super controversial if you assume that everybody is operating by, ethical and like protocol standards of what it means to be in the competitive field of play, but it's accepted practice you do steal signs. Like you said, there's a reason why they're blocking their mouths, and they do all these other different things to prevent sign stealing and understanding other people's strategies. So it's not that it's the craziest thing ever. I do think it's wild to be sending somebody in a Halloween costume to a team sideline to try to listen and record whatever the hell that they want. Like, that's wild. That's the wildest shit.
But what if he says trick or treat? Is that are we admitting it?
There's levels to it, because look, the title of the show is called "Pay Attention to the Signs." Right? There's a stop sign that we all roll through, but at least if you slow down enough, you probably won't get pulled over. There is a sign that tells you your speed, and we all exceed the speeding limit. But as long as you ain't 30 miles over it, then we don't necessarily expect to get pulled over. Right. Yield. All right? I mean, ain't nobody coming. I'm not really going to yield. There are a lot of signs that on a daily basis we ignore, and it's accepted practice. And I think the same thing is true here when it comes to these signs, right? People steal signs all the time. People try to cheat all the time. I'm struggling with whether or not, because the more that comes out, the more offended I am. When it first came out, same thing when it comes to Spygate. Same thing when it comes to Deflategate. Whatever your competitive advantage that you gain from trying to adjust a bit, whether it be a hotel camera looking at what they're doing in the parking lot in their walkthrough, or whether it be taking a little bit of air out of the football because your quarterback likes to throw the ball that is a little, the air is a little less than regulation. Whatever we do, we adjust a little bit. But there are levels to it. And the more I'm hearing, and let's show that image one more time. Can we get the image again? This is not a Halloween image, but it feels a lot like Halloween. The more that comes out, the more that's revealed, I'm becoming more bothered by it, because it seems as though this is an intricate plot, an intricate plan to steal signs from people in order to get a competitive advantage. And I'm becoming more bothered by it because Harbaugh, at least to date, has made it seem as though this guy was an independent actor. He didn't gain any competitive advantage from this. It wasn't a concerted effort that was, signed off on by the head man himself. And the more you hear it, the more you start to think, Harbaugh, you a damn lie.
And that's what makes it even worse. Harbaugh is lying about it, which is blatant that he's lying. There's zero chance in America I'd bet my kid's life that he's lying, because just of what you're seeing, the guy's talking to you. If a guy's telling you which way they're running, you're going to want to know, how do you know that? I'm the head coach. My name is on the line. If I send all my people to the left or to the right, and these guys go to the other side, I'm going to look like a fool. I have to trust that you really know what the hell you're talking about. Unless this dude has like a Ouija board, or he's, or reading palms or something, there's got to be a reason why he believed that I can trust what this guy's had to say. They have laminated sheets. When they show they play Ohio State, they had a guy. The camera's a motherfucker. I'm going to tell you that right now, though. The eye of the sky don't lie. But they have a play early in the game where the dude's catching the ball, and there's another guy, not even him. So this is let you know it's throughout the program. So
they're having meetings about his spies.
You're in the first series of the game, and they have laminated sheets with pictures of people. You know how many people are involved in that? They had to get some sort of a student intern probably that make the pictures of the guys. All right, we need you to get some body thing. This is what the hand's going to look like. That they can make up the images, laminate the cards, and random dudes, not just him, random guys on the sideline are looking at it. So they got spotters. Every single person in that program knows that they were cheating. The players, the coaches, the trainers, the equipment managers. It's wide. Look at how many people are involved. It's involved in the situation. And I'm sorry, they've always had good players at Michigan. And they've always had underachievement at Michigan, except for when they beat Notre Dame. And I'll go ahead and put that out there for all the people who want to bring it up later. That the only big game Harbaugh ever won before this cheating started was when they beat Notre Dame in like 2020 or 19 or something like that. They lost to Michigan State. They lost to Ohio State. They lost to Notre Dame when they played. They lost everything. One game he won that was worth a damn. They made him take a pay cut. So now he put all his chips in. As soon as he starts winning, he can't wait to get to the door. I got to get out of here. Because he knew that this day was coming.
Yeah. I'll give you last word on the ETP quickly, and then we're going to move on. I see my man Max Power. I like that because I've said it several times. I say it in Monopoly. I say it in Spades. If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. But there's levels to it. And that's where I'm becoming a little unbothered. I'm becoming bothered by it. Whereas at one point I was unbothered. I have moved probably to the other extreme. And this would be, you said suspend Harbaugh. You got to say again, right? Because he's already been suspended this year. I'll give you final word on the ETP.
I don't have a word. I think I just have a question or a hypothetical. It's just like, what percentage of it outside of what you legally have in terms of scouting tape and footage and all of the resources that you have available to you within the lines and the bounds of the rules, how much more of an advantage is this? Because I would imagine even with the available resources, you can still see signs from the sideline with game footage.
No, I mean, game footage you get.
I guess so. Without getting into details, that's the question. I'll end with the question of how much more of an advantage is all of these shenanigans,
right,
is as opposed to the current rules of scouting.
I'll say this because the people that have defended the honor of Harbaugh and the University of Michigan and tried to diminish the magnitude of this have said things like, well, you got 3 backup quarterbacks next to each other and all throwing up signs. Why? Because it's an adaptation to the reality that everyone's trying to steal your signs.
And that's not illegal during the game.
That's not illegal during the game, right? And so they've come up with the reasons why it's not that bad. But again, to me, it's just levels to it. Like when it says 25 miles an hour and I'm going 26 miles an hour, I'm breaking the law. But that's different than going 100 miles an hour when it says 25 miles an hour. There's levels to it.
So that's,
I think to me, the level of it. Yeah, the level of it to me.
Like, is it a 5% more advantage? Is it a 50? Like anecdotally,
I think it's a sizably
of an advantage. Is it a total like you got the whole script and you're good versus having nothing? Or is it like,
it's at least a 10-point advantage per game.
I think you got the whole script at that point. If you got signs of whether or not they're running right or left, that to me that's a game changer. That's different than me trying to figure out which signal caller is the live backup quarterback signal caller. It's just different because
how, like, they got the headsets. Like, how is this now all still driven by such open signal calling. Like,
well, college doesn't have, and so this has prompted. This has prompted people to say the NCAA should take the same approach that the NFL does and allow the signal callers to have the microphone in their helmet up until a certain point in the play clock. The challenge with that is, a lot of the college football offensive schemes are based on no huddle. But so this has prompted people to say, if you put microphones in the helmet and allow the coach to communicate directly to the quarterback, you can prevent some of this. But in college, they don't have that yet. So a lot of it is
some people can't afford it. It's program, just another expense for certain programs and the haves and the have-nots to get you. So,
but interesting topic, man. Look, we shall see. I think from now on, at least this guy has gone into witness protection. You saw about the eye in the sky. The cameras are definitely on Harbaugh and his staff to figure out how they are making calls and adjusting offensively and defensively. And
the Ohio State game.
So we shall see. I think this is a big nod to Ohio State because the advantage that they thought they had, they're going to regroup and change all the signs, which is just sort of par for the course. But this is yet another black eye for Jim Harbaugh, man, to be stealing signs. Let's get into some other signs, man, because it is interesting to me that young people, and we're going to stay on this college level, but we're going to go from the head coach and the spy to the actual players. And for me, I posted this week 2 stories dealing with student athletes, high profile student athletes that find themselves in legal trouble. One on the wrong end of several felony charges. The other on the wrong end of what I would just call stupidity, but stupidity that ended in a mugshot, being arrested. And I posted them with the background music of Tupac. Shorty wanna be a thug, shorty wanna be a thug. And my challenge, and one of these people, and Mikey Williams, this week, while additional felony charges have been hurled in his direction, posted something on social media. For those who don't know, Mikey Williams is a basketball phenom. He came to become a household name because of social media. He used social media to his advantage. He had an NIL deal with Puma that has since been rescinded because of this, I'm assuming, detrimental to the brand, whatever they call it. The catch-all phrase.
Fuck shit is what they would.
Fuck
the
shit,
technical
right?
term is.
And he was guilty of some fuck shit, and now that deal has been rescinded. And so I'm looking at this stuff, and I appreciate it, man. My man Max Power says John Morant syndrome. That's the latest example of a high-profile athlete that's got the world in the palm of his hands and wants to subscribe to a culture that is so detrimental that leads him into a wayward space. John Morant is a good example because the Grizzlies have not won a game yet, while John Morant is serving a 25-game suspension. John Morant was going to be the face of Nike to supplant Kyrie, and instead, he wants to be basically a hip-hop legend and live his life like it's a hip-hop video. So I'm looking at Mikey Williams, a household name because of what he did. Both of these young men, Mikey Williams and Mackenzie, I don't know how you say his name, Mgbako, I think that's how you say his name. Mikey Williams signed to play at the University of Memphis. Mackenzie Mgbako plays at the University of Indiana. Both were projected to be in the next NBA draft. Both are facing criminal allegations. Obviously, Mikey Williams far more severe, being a felony. Mackenzie Mgbako just was asked to leave Taco Bell. I guess he and the person that drive-through had an incident, and
they ran out of fire sauce. You know how terrible taco is without fire sauce.
Without that fire sauce, but I'm telling all my young athletes, man, you could be really, really wrong and still be right.
Out of taquitos.
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that the person in the person in the drive-thru was giving him an attitude. Maybe they messed up his order. And he was probably right. But at some point, you can be very wrong while being right. Same thing with Mikey Williams. I don't know the situation. Maybe he brandished a firearm because I don't know the situation. But you can be very wrong at being right. And I'm thinking, man, that these young athletes are paying attention to the wrong signs. The signs that you can live a rap lifestyle that you see in a video with no consequences, you're a damn fool. I think they should be paying attention to the signs like John Morant serving a 25-game suspension and almost losing essentially, it was a lifetime deal, but a deal that was going to change his finances for his lifetime.
Keyword, almost.
Almost. And so now does that give more entitlement to these athletes to think that they will always be the exception to the rule?
Absolutely. 1,000%. You see all the exceptions of the rules to the rules that are made for elite athletes every single day, all the time. Like, if you're an elite athlete, you gotta admit you got at least 6 strikes.
So here's where the intersection of sports, business, and entertainment, where they collide. These are interesting topics because yes, they're amazing athletes that, because of NIL and the proliferation of it trickling down all the way to high school opportunities, they are a business. They're an entity in themselves because of the athlete that they are. But because that bridge between sports and entertainment is such a narrow, close bridge, the overlap is there. If you show the Venn diagram, every athlete wants to be an entertainer. Every entertainer wants to be an athlete. These dudes are living a lifestyle that they don't understand is going to be detrimental to their overall business opportunities. I hope that we don't have to get into it because with Mackenzie, Mgbako, I mean, that's, whatever. A slap on the wrist. He'll be playing this year. Other than being guilty of being dumb as hell. When the police show up, man, leave. Get out of there. Come to Taco Bell the next day.
Until you get your fire sauce, though. You got to be a man of principle.
Just dumb as hell. But I in more seriousness, I do hope that Mikey Williams is going to be okay. But the challenge I'm having as a dad to a son that's really into basketball, to a son that asked me not to see one, but both of these young men. I left my house and went to some random basketball court because Mikey Williams is in town. Stood out in the cold trying to get a ticket because my son wanted to see Mikey Williams. Same thing. I went to a game to see Mackenzie Mgbako when he was playing high school ball here in New Jersey because my son wanted to see him.
Did you get a ticket?
I got a ticket to that one. I saw him. Mikey Williams, I stayed in the cold. But my thing is that because there is this domino effect, now the next young athlete sees this glorified in a way, accepted in a way, a level of entitlement, and then there's this domino effect that the next generation does the same stupid shit. That's my challenge with it, man. I wish both of them well. I wanted to bring it up. I don't know if you guys want to get into it at all. I mean, stupidity is at the core of it, and that's why they say youth is wasted on the young. But my gosh, gentlemen, you got to be able to separate fiction, which is the lifestyle that a lot of these entertainers, and I'm going hip-hop here, but entertainers in general across the genres, they are selling us fiction. That's a fiction book that they're selling you. The imagery isn't real. You got to be able to separate that from the real consequences of trying to go out and live a life that is consistent with fiction. That's just my 2 cents. So, anybody want the last word on it before we move on, man? I feel bad for those guys, but I feel worse for the next generation of kids watching them and paying attention, whether they know it or not. They're signaling that that's how you behave when you're a 5-star guy. That's how you behave after you get an NIL deal. And I just pray for the young people to ignore that signal.
Well, the issue is it's exacerbating a greater issue, right? Because there's always been this rhetoric around, oh, you're giving these young men all this money, and I'm talking about at the pro level, like NFL, NBA, like, oh, they get, they're not giving a lot of guidance. They're teenagers or they're young adults and they get all this money. That situation has now become, I'm a 16-year-old multimillionaire because I know how to dribble a basketball. Like, that's, it's creating an even further, a broader problem in terms of, not in terms of any, I mean, we could get into the cultural influence and all the things that set people on the wrong path. But I think that the main concern is not just because you have this money, you're going to act reckless, but you also attract a certain amount of attention to you, and not all of it is positive. And there's not always the preparation to be able to manage that in either direction.
But because of the combination, I well put, because of that combination and intersection of sports business and entertainment, because now the younger athlete is in the midst of that intersection now, because you are a business at a younger age. Mikey Williams literally became a household name because of the clips that he was posting on Instagram. The dude has several million followers. Because of that, and this is, I'm going to ask you this, and I'm not going to go down the rabbit hole, but I want like not the yes or no, but the very quick answer. Do you think that our entertainers, let's just talk about the genre that most of us, all of us on this platform, tend to rank up there as the top genre that we follow, hip hop. Do these young hip hop artists have a responsibility to put product out there that is a little more socially conscious and responsible?
I'll try to say this as concisely as I can, and I have two things to say about it. One, the people that are putting out this music have identified opportunities of how to make money and get themselves into a financial situation, and there's an industry that promotes and supports that, and there's no governing body for that, for this culture, that culture, however you want to clarify it, that's ensuring that there's not destructive messaging and imagery and all of that that's detrimental to the culture and to the youth. So it's not, I don't like the idea of like, oh, these 20-year-old, 25-year-old multimillionaires who are getting money however they were getting it, and now they're getting it legally through the music industry, to expect them to be the model citizens and the role models that they never were groomed to be is just, we're barking up the wrong tree. Like we're wishing for something that won't happen. There's an industry that controls that. There's no accountability involved in that. So that's another issue. But one thing that even to totally, the last thing I'll say about this, to like show how asinine it all is. So Meek Mill is like currently the face of prison reform.
Yeah, I saw this story.
Turns his whole life around. He's all like, this is his whole model platform. I'm going to help, change the trajectory of people's lives and make sure that there's equality and all of this positive messaging. He's about to drop an album. He just dropped a single with Rick Ross, and the entire language that he uses is about murder and violence and criminal activity and all of these things. But we're supposed to divorce that message from the fact that, oh, I'm working on prison reform, even though I'm influencing and promoting all of these messages around this exact thing that make Black men targets of law enforcement and the justice system, and also influence people to do things that they might otherwise not do because it's the most trendy, coolest position to take within the culture. Like, you can't have it both ways.
Yeah.
Let me build on that point though that you made. You're encouraging people to do things they may not have already done, and that's where I kind of had a sticking point. I've always listened to rap music and the worst kind, whatever. I've always been involved in that as a youth growing up, and I looked at it, and it was interesting. It was entertaining. The lyrics were catchy, and the beats were catchy. I liked them, right? I also like Scarface, and I also like The Godfather, and I also like those things. And I wasn't the type of person that was going to kind of push that way. So my question is, the people who are going to be, and the two of you, I think you guys cleaned up pretty well and made a decent life for yourself.
Hey, well, thank you, man. Is it the pink hat?
Is it the pink hat?
Say that?
You know what I'm saying? I never heard you guys. Barry Manilow has never been anything in the background when we get on the phone. You know what I'm saying? So I think you listen to the same type of music, and you found a way not to succumb to it. Sometimes I wonder the people that get influenced by rap music. If it wasn't rap music, what would it be?
Right.
Like, yeah, I mean, all right. Well, I have to respond. Like this argument about like it just being entertainment and Scarface and video games and all that. Like Scarface don't live in your neighborhood. Scarface don't look like you. Like Goodfellas isn't your cousin. You know what I mean? Like these are the things that I can't.
So you think because
like the music is taught, like the whole premise of what makes hip hop music successful, at least in terms of like promoting the culture, is it like shit's real, son. This is how we live. This is real life. I'm not making anything up. Like that's different than I'm reading lines off of a script and I'm in front of a camera and that's what it is. Granted, a whole lot of people that are in the music business are doing that same exact thing, but they're promoting it as this is authentic and this is really how I live and this is really how people are living. And I'm just telling you about the ills. I'm just the mouthpiece. I'm just the projection of these problems, which can be true, but you're glorifying it, and we're not policing it. Like because it's catchy, like that's the whole thing. Hip hop got to the point that it got to is because the art was so innovative and creative and artistic that we let all of this stuff slide. And now the art form has become so commercialized that the quality of it is down. There's not as much, there's not as much interest in it. Like Afro beats is the big music industry, music genre, all of these other things. So it's degrading in terms of the quality. So I'm with you. Like people are going to do probably what people are going to do, but I wouldn't say that I wasn't influenced by that. Like I remember being in situations where like I have to present a certain way because I've subscribed to this culture when I was a kid and I have to represent certain things. And fortunately, I didn't fall into like very catastrophic situations, but I definitely was influenced by the hypnosis of what that culture and the music and the art form was penetrating into my brain. Like I can retrospectively look at it and say I was definitely influenced by it. I had a little bit more common sense or critical thinking or support from my family that helped me not go down that path, but I stepped over the line a lot of times, and I definitely think that was, I can't say it was the music, but me and my peer group were very much subscribed to that music, and what was acceptable and what was unacceptable was like reinforced by the code of what was being projected in the music.
Right.
I would just chalk that up as you being from Boston. I mean, if that's
if I had to put it in that shit,
I had to figure it out. No, I get it. You know what? I guess that's the conflict because I will say, I like the music. I do feel like I try to be positive with everybody, but obviously I like to see the problems in the Black community go away. And maybe it's just me trying to hold on to something and want to have it both ways. But I mean, there's points to be made on that as far as that's concerned. But
look,
I don't know.
When I posted them, I intentionally used Tupac. Shorty wanna be a thug. Shorty gonna be a thug. I love Tupac. Like that is the music that took me from being a young man, a teenager, into being on a college campus. And music that to this day I can put on Tupac and feel a connection to. So I intentionally used Tupac because it was for me also self-reflection because I have the benefit and the blessing now of being in a position to influence kids again. And so I'm trying to use my platform to influence them positively. But there was a time where homophobic slurs were being used in rap music. That doesn't happen anymore, right? There was a time where, the Rick Ross line, his bar where he talks about he put basically a roofie in somebody in a woman's drink and she didn't even know it. She didn't even know it.
Yeah.
Like he was called to the carpet about that. And while that was a very probably fictional bar, he had the answer to it. It just seems that though, like for us and the three of us, right? We all are college educated, responsible, fathers, Black men, law abiding for the most part. And we we've got to be the agency, if you will. We've got to be the agency, if you will, that polices it. Like something as simple as using the N-word. We use the N-word like it's nothing, whereas you cannot use any what could be potentially construed as a homophobic term. You can't do it anymore. Your music won't make it to the radio. And so I look at these young men and I see these stories this week, and part of me is like, all right, what can we do? How do we do more? Because I'm only coaching the group of kids that I'm coaching. But these kids, the Mikey Williams and Mackenzie and Mgbako of the world, have way more influence over the same kids that I'm coaching. I'm volunteering countless number of hours. I don't even want to go to how many hours. My money, I just finished washing these white damn uniforms. I'm soaking them for 2 days and stain remover. I am a servant to these kids. Yet Mikey Williams and Mackenzie Mgbako have way more influence over those same kids. And so that's where I'm like, what is the agency? What is the group? What is the collection, officially or unofficially, that comes together and starts saying, we are the people, the unit, the agency, the group, the whatever you want to call it, that is going to be the guide to how we use the influence of music over our athletes. So that's where I'm at on it, man. And I don't have the answer other than I know we need an answer, because these two young examples are just this week's examples. John Morant being the $100 million example, right? But there's so many examples. I'm like, how is Mikey Williams and Mackenzie Mgbako not paying attention to the signs of all these athletes falling prey to the same thing, just different details and different fact patterns, but same general mishap? So that's where I am with it, man. And that means I'm getting old, where I start trying to self-reflect on my own responsibility and role in all of it. But you know, that's where I am with it, man. So we shall see. Anybody want last word on it before we move forward? So let's move forward then. Let's go with Colorado, man. Coach Prime is upset because his football team gets robbed while at the Rose Bowl. Somebody's chain, I think at least 2 players got their chains robbed. Now, here's me getting old too, and deep down I'm thinking, well, Coach Prime, man, teach these boys to use their money and go buy some assets and not no damn liability. That chain is 90% devalued as soon as he put it on his neck. That half of me is thinking there, but I want to go in a different route, because Coach Prime has also been called to task because people said he's making a way bigger deal about this than the situation at JSU, and it's like, you know, the white man's ice ain't colder than mine type of situation. And Coach Prime said the NCAA, because these young men have not insured. He said, we've done a good job of teaching about money management. We might have missed a step in teaching them about insuring these liabilities, AKA gold chains. Does Coach Prime have a point that the NCAA should pay for them, or whomever? Because you don't expect your materials to get stolen from your locker room at the Rose Bowl. And just quickly, those detractors who are saying that he's got a lot more zeal for this situation than he did at JSU, do they have a point? I'll start with you on this one. Where did I start before? I guess whoever. One of you come on and respond. How about that?
So you raised one thing is, there's a whole lot of corporations involved in this that are insured, right? Like there's the Rose Bowl, there's the NCAA, there's Colorado, there's like all of these businesses have insurance. So being able to recoup or, you know, pay out some level of a claim, I don't think is unreasonable. In terms of making a bigger deal about it, I thought that he made a really big deal about it at Jackson State about his radio, and he put out a message to the entire community to get his radio back because it was sentimental.
I forgot about
and
that.
all of this, and it became national news. And it was just his radio. It was not the locker room of the team where multiple people's belongings were.
I do remember. Now that you say that, I remember that. Yep.
The second time, he kind of made a big deal about it at the press conference, but then they found his stuff. It was just his again, and it was still a big deal. So I don't think that he's making this is a bigger deal. Like, but at the same time, if you can dress up in a Halloween costume and end up on an opposing team's sideline, getting into a college team's locker room sounds like a pretty easy thing to do. And what
if we see Stallions wearing those necklaces on the next side?
Right. So the next team, you're gonna see Jim Harbaugh rocking number 2, whatever, Shador Sanders, Jesus piece. But the other thing is, like, I'm sure security isn't prepared to have to be as protective of the teams and of possessions in the ways that they are now, where the amount of value walking into those locker rooms after the NIL, regulation or deregulation versus before. If the locker room got robbed in 2007, you probably got a lot of sweatsuits. Now you're getting $1,000 sneakers and $40,000 chains and whatever amount shirts and probably money wrapped in rubber bands. Like, who knows what type of stuff is in there? So it becomes a target, and it is what it is. Like, I'm not surprised, but at the same time, like, there's a lot of money involved. There's a lot of corporations involved. If they can prove, and the benefit of this for these kids is, if they're going to make a lot more money moving forward, they learned a very cheap lesson of how to protect your assets. And they can get insurance, or they can have the protect, whatever the case may be. This is an opportunity for them to learn and prevent themselves from running into worse or more like detrimental situations moving forward.
And get insurance. In a weird way, this does support this idea that Jim Harbaugh has, that this dude just randomly went and stole signs and randomly ended up on the sideline, because security at these places, even the Rose Bowl, must not be too tight. Somebody gonna go in and roll up and steal. I'm just gonna tuck mines in. Debo coming. Who? Debo up in the Rose Bowl stealing people chains? I mean, what's going on? Big Flow Show.
How is it from Compton? Debo lived in Compton, so
Compton. You got a point there. Might have been.
I don't know about the NCAA, but I think the UCLA. I think at the end of the day, like, you should have a certain expectation. I know when you go to the locker room, the sign says we're not responsible for things stolen out the locker room. They put that disclaimer. But if I come to spend my money, fly my team out to play your team, I can't expect that you can protect my locker room. I could. We had to bring our own security now.
I think I would argue, and just make this a conspiracy theory, it might have been UCLA Rose Bowl security that's walking around with the chains. It was like an inside job.
Therefore, I think UCLA should have to pay for that. They should be liable. I mean, come on, man. We're playing a game here. You can't watch somebody, make sure nobody goes in the locker room.
They know exactly where you at.
What are we doing, man? Yeah, we were busy, man. You got to have somebody. There's always somebody not facing, at the game. They got that terrible job of standing facing away from the field, which I think that's got to be so horrible. There's a great football game going on behind you. There's always somebody sitting there looking at the stands. Nobody's sitting by the locker room door. There's 2 doors usually. One at the top of the stairs, one at the bottom of the stairs. Nobody was at the door.
As I envision it, they're watching the game, making sure no one gets hurt that they got to bring back to the locker room, and they got their cousins and everybody going through them pockets. They got a whole bunch of chains, man. So hopefully the kids
unless somebody on that team that don't have one of those NIL deals getting kind of, what I'm talking about?
It might have been somebody on the team. Dang.
Let's not, last man out the tunnel. He may have gave
check special teams.
That guy that knows
down everybody on special teams.
The one that Dion said was should hit the portal.
Hey, yeah, I'm about to hit the portal, but I'm gonna hit it with these gold chains. You remember what Chris Matlock
was in mine anyhow. Let's not rule it out, because it's still did they steal just jewelry?
It was just jewelry. Yeah,
that could be. Yeah. It could be anybody.
Chris Matlock, who was the equipment manager at Notre Dame, we had this thing that, who's your friend, teammate? Who's your friend, teammate? And people would steal each other's stuff, because back then, before NIL, before there was an unlimited amount of stuff that you got. Like, if somebody had some gloves you wanted, there was a thief ring within the team. He's like, who's your friend? Teammate. Who's your friend? Teammate. Who'll steal from you? Teammate. Look in the man's locker next to yours. That's where you're probably going to find your doggone gloves. Interesting times. Let's hope that the young men get their chains back. and that they continue doing whatever it is that they do and rocking their chains. But the Rose Bowl, NCAA, UCLA, somebody needs to pay for them doggone chains, man. You're supposed to be able to go play a game in peace. All right, let's get to it. I don't know if did we lose ETP? No, there he is right there.
No, he's
ETP, you good back there? We having technical difficulties. No, he's not back there. All right.
He is back there.
All right, there he is right there. There you go, ETP.
He was doing other things.
Yeah, all right. It is what it is. Now he's hiding again.
He said, "I'll be back when I'm back."
Yeah.
My bad, E.
It's like ETP going, he's shopping, he online shopping for them chains. Somebody stole them chains.
I finally bought something from a Wish.
I can get them for the low.
Am I gonna get the product of what I need? Somebody, is that one of those things you don't really want?
Yeah, ETP back there shopping for them chains. So
He's making an alibi. He's creating an alibi. Where were you, Ellis, when they were stealing chains?
Yeah, I was on the show. We have the Colorado Buffaloes getting robbed at the Rose Bowl. But this week also we saw in boxing, yes, heavyweight boxing still exists. Ngannou got robbed by the judges, I would say. Not only did he have a knockdown of Tyson Fury, but if you look at the stats, the CompuBox stats,
box, yep.
It looks like Ngannou got robbed. And in this episode of Pay Attention to the Signs, if we wonder why boxers are struggling to get their pay-per-view number and the gate number back to where it was at one point, as UFC and MMA ascends and takes over every dollar that's available, I would say pay attention to the signs, because people don't like just how we started with Jim Harbaugh. People don't like, after spending their hard-earned money, to watch somebody get cheated and feel like, as a result, they got cheated. And CompuBox, my own eyes, the knockdown of Tyson Fury tells me that Ngannou got robbed. And so the numbers for boxing are going to continue to dip into the basement, because I think people are fed up. Not only do we have to wait forever to see the heavyweight boxing match that we want to see, or whatever weight class, the matchup that we want to see, we got to wait forever because they're robbing us of those matchups. But now, and not now that this is new, but it is just entrenched in boxing, it just seems that anytime it goes to the cards, you don't know what the hell's going to happen. If the stats can't tell you who won, if a knockdown don't tell you who won, if your own eyes don't tell you who won, in some cases you look at the scorecard, you're like, how does anybody that knows anything about boxing score it that way? Boxing is in trouble. Has been for a while, but even more so now. I think this heavyweight match that we have been waiting on for a while is letting us know. And, you know, it is what it is, man. It is what it is. I don't know if either one of you guys got a chance to see the actual match, but I'm sure you've heard a lot since then. 30-second version, what did you think of it? Or do you even watch boxing anymore before we hop to the next topic? What say you?
I would say I didn't see it. I won a little bit of money because I bet that I can say his name, so I'm just going to say the UFC guy was going to knock him down at least one time. I got paid. I only bet $20 because I wasn't that believing, but I got $220 off that. I thought that was pretty good. But you know, you get those bets, you're like, why didn't I put a G down? A G would have just been so much better. But I did. I digress. But no, I mean, at the end of the day, I think Wilder fights wild, and he didn't have enough weight to stick with him. I think this UFC guy had enough weight to stick with Fury. I never was that impressed with Tyson Fury. I mean, I just don't think the heavyweight. No one wants to box anymore. I mean, boxing is the sport of
Francis Ngannou.
Yeah, Francis. I can say Francis. I say Francis. You know, he's a trained fighter, and he's strong. He's big.
I thought you was gonna say because of Francis, he's a trained Haitian. You said trained fighter.
Nah, but he got some French up in him. He got the same oppressors as we did, but at the same time, he you know, they say he's got like the strongest punch ever recorded. That's tough, man. If he can land a few of those punches on you. So I didn't see the fight. You know, the way they're doing these crossover fights or whatever. The winner, the person who's supposed to win always wins, and they're making money and they're robbing the public and nobody cares. At the end of the way, Francis is like, whatever, dude. He had some meme that he had put out. I thought it was funny, and I can't remember really quick. I don't know if you guys saw the meme, but he got paid, man.
He got paid handsomely. But that's the next.
I'm available, man. Just so you know, I'm available.
But that's the next gimmick. You got a crossover fight to get people to watch.
I like brain cells.
You wouldn't take how much money would it take you to fight Tyson Fury? Honest, real talk.
I like my memories. I appreciate not drooling on myself. Like
you think one
with
fight
the little things in life,
situation?
dog. I'm not sure.
I think what you got to do is, in order to do this right, to model it financially, you'd have to figure out what dependent health care for the rest of your life costs. Right.
Night nurse, all this stuff, like diapers, all the stuff that you would need once this man beats your face in and mess up all your faculties. And when you're done adding all that up, I don't know if there's an amount I would take. Flo, I gotta be honest. The thing is, I could protect myself well enough that by the time they stop the fight, that I might not be that injured. You know what I'm saying?
I know, but you realize they're
you can't
professional
protect
fighters.
your kidneys that well. Like this is a lot of different things.
I got to.
I'm good.
I'm gonna say the other one. You
got give me a kidney now. Don't say that.
Your kids got a couple that if you need an extra one.
You have one for the money they're gonna pay me. I believe you're about the same height as me. I believe you.
Hey, listen. All right, so then let's come up with a price. You account for the kidney that I'm gonna give you, and then put that on the tag, and then look, you got to fight. Well, I'll make that fight for you.
Then we're good.
You saw all those people that took dives when Tyson fought went in there. I'm actually gonna try to give you a money's worth. I'm gonna try to see if I can get him a couple times. Once I realize, and it may take 10 seconds, it may take 2 rounds. Once I realize that that's not an effort that's advantageous, I'm on the ropes. I'm covering up the sweet spots, whatever. Eventually, they're gonna stop it.
I thought you were good into that last statement that you're gonna make a fight of it. So at this point, we're preparing for the eulogy, and make sure that at that point. See, you trying to make a good fight.
I don't think I can. I don't think I have a chance. I don't think I can make it good, but I can at least make you feel like I tried to earn my bread.
Oh, I like this one. Whoever Max is, that's comment of the day. Ellis ain't fighting nobody. He's a lover. I thought it was gonna be one of them light skin comments, but it ain't. It ain't. It's saying you a lover.
I love to fight, mother. No.
Let's hop into another topic.
For the right price, I'll do a lot of things that nobody knows me to do.
Hey man, shoot, you and me both.
I am for sale. I don't want anybody to think differently.
The question becomes: is the WNBA for sale?
I'll say I'll never do it for free.
You said you're for sale. Sure. The question has now been presented: is the WNBA for sale? Because after the Las Vegas Aces won their championship, after they got their parade, after Usher, while he didn't show up to their parade, brought him on to stage in his Vegas residency. After all of that, some wealthy man with too much money and too much time on his hands has made $1 million challenge to the Las Vegas Aces, WNBA 2023 champions. Did they say world champions? I ain't gonna get into that. Champions of the WNBA. He says that he can put up $1 million that if that Las Vegas Aces, a professional WNBA champion team, he wants to pick any men's high school basketball team, elite high school basketball team, and he says that they will beat the Las Vegas Aces.
But just to clarify, it's Clay Travis, who is a Fox Sports, I think Fox FS1 personality.
Oh, Clay Travis said that? Oh, man.
Yeah.
That's wrong. That's wrong. So the continuous, ongoing onslaught of the WNBA and women's basketball continues. That man he should probably be suspended, honestly, because that is pretty freaking sexist. But it's having said that,
just no reason to say it.
It's pretty sexy. You're only saying that. There's no
hey,
reason.
Is it ageist because you guys said Fury whooped me? Huh? Is that age discrimination? Because I don't know
how old you are, but
I think he would have whooped you when y'all was the same age.
It has nothing to do with that conversation.
Yeah, I didn't factor in age actually.
That was part of it.
It was like
now
20
that you
years ago,
mention
we still bet against you.
Yeah.
he had me at Reggie Fleury.
You had to remind
you
me
had
that
me
you
at
were
Reggie
older than him. I
Fleury. That
didn't
just
realize.
Right. So that's your excuse now.
Oh, okay. I just
That lets me know he's gonna beat your head in because you really thinking logically about the
I
illogical.
thought you was
But
26 years old.
I don't think it's necessary, and I kind of feel like it was a tacky comment because, like,
misogynist.
It's not going to happen. Okay, I don't want to say it. Do you disagree?
First of all, he said any elite high school team, which we know technically they're 1 year removed from the NBA. So on the face of what he said, and if you're going to go get an IMG or a Mount Verde or one of these Lalamere, one of these teams that are taking in the best basketball players from around the world, no, I don't disagree. Chances are, because those guys are literally 1 year removed from the NBA. So no,
it's not misogynistic because it's true.
It is though. It is.
It's just it's tacky and unnecessary. Like, why are you raining on their parade, so to speak? Like, they just won a championship. So what? That a men's team can beat them. Like, first of all, no shit. But second of all, like, why are you bringing that up? No one's actually going to pay the $1 million. Like, that's never going to happen. So you did it just to disparage them. But I guess in that regard, you could say since it's disparaging that it's misogynistic. But it's true. A high school team would beat them. I mean, we look at if you see South
elite
Carolina,
high school team, not just any high school team gonna beat them. Let me be clear.
Basically, the best high school team in the country.
The best high school team in the country might beat them. And that is a might.
Would beat them. Yeah. I mean, like, look at right now with Dawn Staley. She has what do you call that? Intramural champs, if that, come out. Bunch of dudes that look like they didn't play varsity. And they scrimmage her team the whole season. And they go through it and they beat them up and they do whatever. I mean, it's just a physics thing. I mean, the fact of the matter, men are bigger, stronger, faster. But in that regard, for him to bring it up during their moment, it's just tacky and unnecessary. Why are you bringing it? Like, why are you peeing on the parade right now? They just won a championship. They're not in the men's league. They're not in a high school league. They're in a women's professional league. So why are we talking about it? But I wouldn't go so far as to say it's misogynistic because it's not. He didn't lie. Just don't bring it up.
Yeah, but I think you can be misogynist without necessarily being wrong or questioning. And that's not a veracity thing for me. It's the motivation behind it, the timing of it, the fact that you're ignoring there is biology in that, but the only reason that you're pointing out the evident biology, right? You're only doing that to put women down. That's the only reason you're doing it.
I'll give you that.
Say they took it. Say they took the bait. Is there an upside? Like, what's the effect if the Aces beat X high school team? Does it change anything? Is there an upside to the Aces even taking this on?
Aces have everything to lose. The Aces have
nothing
everything
to win.
To lose.
There's no game because, like, they're a high school team. You should have beat them.
Right. Yeah, they've got everything to lose. I think
that guy. If they're smart, though, $1 million. If they're smart, somebody makes a phone call to these high school kids. Say, "Look, I know your NIL deal don't kick in for a while. Everybody here get $10,000. Just let this make it look good."
I think that sports public should lose pay for a week. He should be suspended. To me, that's going too far. That's too far. It's like just way too far.
You're starting to succumb to the softness of America.
Yeah,
suspended for that.
For a week. Week pay.
You know what? Someone should just clown him. Go on his show. I don't even know who the person is you're talking about, but somebody should just go on his show and just clown him and make him look stupid. Yeah. All right, and suspend him for what?
Or look, I meet your bet with another bet. I'll play you one-on-one, right? Just one of the WNBA stars. I'll play you one-on-one. We video all of it and I'll embarrass you. Because he outkicked his coverage. He could go find the best people in his men's league and they're going to lose to that same high school elite basketball team. Let's be clear, right? These
or the WNBA team.
Right. So, it is what it is. Let's hop into a few more topics, man, before we get out of here. I got to do it just because I got to do it. We talked about the WNBA and their challenge. The WNBA is notorious for having amongst its ranks a lot of members of the LGBTQA+ community. There are a lot of lesbian women who play on basketball teams. Some of the greatest basketball players in the WNBA are married to women. It's not a big deal. It's also notorious that their fan base is largely made up of LGBTQA+ members lesbian community supports the WNBA. I say that on the heels of the WNBA conversation to then bring this up. Dwight Howard has gone viral. And Dwight Howard has gone viral because, A, there's a sexual assault lawsuit in place. But in that sexual assault lawsuit, I guess the details of the claim itself have revealed that Dwight Howard is a air quote bottom. If you don't know what that means, this is a kid-friendly family show. Look it up on your own time. While that in itself seemed to be, I thought, non-news, when asked in an interview on a podcast, Dwight Howard, all right, none of it matters, but are you gay? Dwight Howard says, why does it matter? It shouldn't even be important. Where I lay my wood, I think is the term he used. My question to you all is this. Dwight Howard's sexuality, who he is in love with, who he is in relationship with, is not the issue here. The issue is the fact that the topic went viral. The fact that people have now said that the rumors, allegations, suspicions of Dwight Howard being in the closet but gay, in the closet, a term meaning he is not outwardly gay, has led to him not getting an NBA job. The fact that it went viral so quickly, and the sideshow, which I'm going to call the sideshow, whether or not he is gay or where he lays his wood, the response to that question, that's the sideshow outside of the actual allegations of the lawsuit. But the fact that that has gone viral brings us to the point where we've got two very similarly positioned leagues in the same sport, two different genders, obviously. The WNBA, where not only is it accepted, it's embraced that members of the LGBTQA+ community make up the players, make up the fan base, make up executives, and it's no big deal. Then you got the NBA, where a shoo-in, first ballot Hall of Famer, if you want to believe the suspicions that this has led to him not getting a job, that's on you one way or the other. But we can't deny that this thing has gone viral, and it is because of all the wrong reasons. And I raise it here because those are two very similarly placed leagues. But I also raise it here because it seems as though when men professional sports in general, or men's sports in general, you still have this issue. And I don't know if you want to call it toxic masculinity, whatever you want to call it, where homosexuality is taboo and forbidden to even be discussed. And then you have women leagues, whether it be the WNBA, whether it be soccer, whether it be tennis, where it's literally a non-issue. I raise it here to say philosophically, how do you get to a point where there's some rational approach to the exact same LGBTQA+ conversation, but with two different genders?
I mean, it's how do we get to the point? I think we're in the process of getting to that point. I think it's been like messy along the way just because people are confused about how to kind of navigate the conversation, but it's a lot more, I mean, it's a lot more progressive today than it was 10 years ago, than it was 20 years ago, than it was 30 years ago. It's not where it needs to be, but I think at least like Dwight Howard is not, regardless of the criminal allegations, people are making jokes about it, which are, unnecessary or, over the line, disrespectful, prejudice, discriminatory. But I don't think it's creating a level of hatred that it would have in the past, or like him being ostracized in the way that he might. So I don't know the answer, right? Like, I mean, the sports culture in and of itself is a cesspool of toxic masculinity. Like, in order to be successful in sports as a man, as an elite athlete, the culture is driven by excessive display of testosterone, let's say, right? And so with that comes the complete resistance and distancing from anything feminine, anything questionable about masculinity. And with that comes sexual preference, and the two things become correlated in the minds of people that don't know any better, right? And so,
fair.
I don't know the answer to it. If there was any easy answer, we wouldn't even be having this conversation. But I think the extremity of, I mean, in American, I don't know the rest of the world, but in American male sports, that culture is as anti, not explicitly vocally, but in practice is like anti-gay as you can possibly get, right? Like that's kind of you cannot equate the two based on the way the culture operates.
I'll say I'm gonna interject and I'm gonna throw it to you. I know you got a thought, Big Flow Show, but I think Max raised a point. He says Dwight Howard wasn't going to get a job even before that went viral, or even before the suspicions that indeed he is a gay man that has not come out of the closet yet. Maybe, but you look at the numbers he's putting up in China. We've made a big joke about, he's telling other people they should come to China, and it makes you scratch your head because you watch some of the big men that are playing in the NBA right now, and we've got a first ballot Hall of Famer. He's not going to give you a double-double every night, but he can definitely help you get some boards and win games. And I would say of all of the NBA teams, he can help at a minimum half of them right now. And he doesn't have a job. And I always wondered that, but this thing going viral made me sort of at least acknowledge the suspicions that it had something to do with that. But then the second part of Mac's statement, but would you be okay with homosexual man taking showers with you after a long game? And that's the part where whether it be game? Toxic or short game. Okay. My point is
a sweep, not a 7-game series.
What if there was a running clock? With this that?
Right. Okay. With the length of the game. But my point is this: is that has to be the part where that looming question that has been out there, directly or indirectly, is the point where we are sort of, just like we dealt with hip hop, we are at this point where we have to do a reflection and know what our role is in it. Because that's the question, right? Do I want to be in the locker room with someone who possibly, because we don't even know, Dwight Howard hasn't said he's gay, possibly could be gay. And that's the point. As men, I think that's where the toxic part of the masculinity has to come into play, because the truth of the matter is someone that is interested in men and relationships with men are, while they might be, physically, oh, that guy is handsome, just like we would do as whoever you like, oh, that woman is a good looking woman, right? That doesn't mean you want to get into a relationship with the person. Being in a locker room with someone who is heterosexual doesn't necessarily mean you want to be with that person if you are a homosexual man. And I think that's where the toxic part of toxic masculinity comes, because we don't know how to divide or separate, right? Like what that means for us. And that's the part that with this Dwight Howard thing is bothering me, is like, we're literally having this conversation in sports media where it has absolutely nothing to do with his ability to play, nothing to do with his ultimate achievement that will be the NBA Hall of Fame. But it always comes down to, in the barbershop or on podcasts like this, whether or not you want to be in the locker room with a man that's gay. And I think that's where the toxic part of toxic masculinity has some credibility. I'll go to you on a Big Flow Show.
I think we've come a long way when it comes to that. I think, I'm 50 years old. When I grew up, everybody was a homophobe, including
what you just said. He said, "Damn." I wanted to make sure you saw that. His reaction.
Everybody was at least, every male was at least partially homophobic, and even gay people would join in on the conversation because that was the culture. Then you kind of grew up, and people started coming out as gay, and friends of mine came out as gay, and you realize I don't care. Once the dude say he was gay, you were like, oh my God, this dude's gay. And then after the third phone call, you didn't care and you remained being friends with the person. Then you got older and more people came out as gay, and you cared less and less and less and less. People have been knowing Dwight Howard is gay, knowing meaning that there's been stuff that's coming out. And once it comes out, you believe that he's gay forever. And no one thinks about when he's on the court, nobody's saying, look at that gay dude playing bad. They're watching him play basketball and they're seeing what's going on. Odell Beckham Jr., there's been rumors of him being gay forever. Man, I want him. I want the Bears to pick him up if his knee is okay. Like, I think that it's overblown, the homophobia. I think it's watered down a lot. The only reason why anyone's talking about Dwight Howard being gay right now is because he had sexual assault, and now the details of his sex life are coming out, where they're seeing text messages and doing different things. Where if somebody was a complete freak, meaning they like to do, dress up and, like Marv Albert, you know what I mean, biting people and doing different things like that. Once it comes out, people are like, whoa, Marv Albert went back to his career after that, even though we know what he did. People, it's the initial shock value and it's the denial. So, even in his text message, which I'm sure in the gay community they don't like, he's like, I'm not gay, I just get nasty sometimes. Like, you're making the thing worse than it is. If Dwight Howard came out and said, man, look, what do you think? Like, you read it. What do you think I am? I mean, he did an interview. He went on there and he kind of had an attitude of like, okay, mind your own business, do whatever. Well, I hope he didn't assault this person, but maybe he did. And if he assaulted the person, then he deserves that people are in his business, because you shouldn't be out there assaulting people. You know what I mean? But that's the only reason why we're talking about it. It's been 2-3 seasons. Somebody else accused him of something that wasn't criminal, I believe.
Yeah, it was a transvestite came out and said they were going to out him because they had a ongoing relationship. Yeah,
and that kind of came and went, and I don't think people really worried about it. But now that criminal's coming out again, and now that you say, okay, he's a whatever position you said he was, I don't know the terminology very well, but like, and then you see the big dudes, so you start, things come with the stickers. But at the end of the day, I don't think people really care as much as it made out to be. Were there gay people in the locker room when I was taking a shower? Yeah, because statistically speaking, we had 125 people on the football team. Somebody had to be gay, right? I mean, just from a statistical standpoint. Oh, well, I mean, you think, when it's hypothetical, you think, I don't want anybody over here looking at me and doing whatever. Probably not his type. You know what I'm saying? And if you are his type, who cares? At the end of the day, you're in there. You don't want women in there because, it could be embarrassing, or it could be, more uncomfortable with an obvious person of the opposite sex there. But when you go to the health club right now and you take a shower and you come out, there's a gay dude in there that's seeing you. When you're in the steam room, there's a gay dude in there. You don't know he's gay and he doesn't do anything to you. And you're like, whatever. You just get used to it. I think that at the end of the day, people get used to it. I think this situation is made a lot of nothing. But it's only because he has a sexual assault portion of it that is in the details.
Fair.
People are outing his personal business. If people outed most people in the NBA's text messages out there, there'd be a lot of embarrassment, whether you're heterosexual, gay, married, single, or whatever. If someone
but you're kind of making the point. There are a lot of text messages that, if made public, would
embarrass you.
Put a big embarrassing. Right.
So and what I'm saying is, if he wasn't getting accused of this criminal stuff, he or she, whatever it was, put out his text messages, and he's embarrassed by it.
Yeah, I don't know in this case. I don't know the accuser whether it was a transvestite or not. But I will say this:
it was the non-transsexual.
It was the gay man who was accusing him.
The gay man's accusing him, whatever.
So
that person.
There's 3 people involved here. So for those who there's definitely 3 people involved. But here's what I would say to that, Big Flo. I agree with you, but I sort of disagree. And the reason I disagree is because the sexual assault claim, to me, the complaint and the allegations and the details and ultimately, the depositions and what's being said on the witness stand, that has taken a clear backseat to what is now going viral. And it's these snippets. Yes, we have a microwave attention span as a society, but I just think that's where I'm like, we're looking at the cart has become before the horse. The allegations and the sexual assault should be the topic in dealing with assault in general, but it has now become whether or not indeed Dwight Howard is gay. The sideshow right, as a conversation, not as that's not a sideshow in terms of his life, but a sideshow in terms of the conversation that should be the most important, right, has taken precedent or priority rather over what I think should be the main topic. So
I agree with you on that. And I guess my only point is that when someone tried to out him before, there was a small buzz about it, and pretty much people's life went on. No one really cared. Now that there's a criminal aspect of it and there's more and more detail about it, that kind of kept it in the news, which now makes it go to, like you're saying, to the unimportant part of whether he's gay or not. And then he's doing interviews and he's making it seem like it shouldn't matter what I do, whatever. At this point, I'm not going to tell the man what he should do. I'm not in his position to know how uncomfortable or comfortable it would feel. But it seems pretty obvious that he must be gay, and he's denying it. And I think I learned a long time ago in college, no matter how embarrassing the event, if you admit it, it goes away. When you sit there and try to deny it in the locker room, then 2 people becomes 3 people, becomes 5 people, and they're like, oh, this guy, just admit it. Somebody got the best of you on practice. Yeah, he got the best of me. It's over. Nah, I slipped. I did this. I did that. Whatever. You know the locker room. Oh, no. What happened was you held me. You did this. And then now it becomes a big argument. Man, dude, yeah, you did me up.
They say if you explain it, you're losing.
You're losing. So that's just my thing.
The other thing that went viral this week, social media is a beast. And somebody else was explaining. And the way I describe this is we found out in an odd way that Joe Smith, former #1 NBA pick, has an OnlyFans page. And you probably say, how is that? He has an OnlyFans page? 50%. Well, what had happened was Joe Smith found out that his wife has an OnlyFans page. And because when you get married, this is statutory, it's legal. What's mine is yours, and what's yours is mine. So his wife has an OnlyFans page, then they both got an OnlyFans page. And in this snippet that has gone viral, she is disclosing to whomever is listening and watching, which I happen to be one of them at some point watching, she's disclosing that this man tripping because he just found out I got OnlyFans page. I had to do what I had to do. And then she says at some point, you knew what it was when you married me. And I had to at least talk about this in today's episode. Pay attention to the signs. But Joe Smith's wife, and by law, Joe Smith himself has an OnlyFans page.
So in divorce, if they got divorced, he has to get
some of that bread. I help you build this empire. I help you build this empire. But apparently she was like an adult entertainer of some sort before they got married, and you can see it hurt in his face and in his voice. He's like, yeah, but you're supposed to come tell me. Like, I don't want you still exposing your body. You're supposed to come tell me. I find out like this. He's like, you found out. Just real matter of fact. And man, it made me in that moment, because I got my own issues and my own situations, my own relationship. But boy, I was happy I didn't have that situation. Lord have mercy. Do you think she was wrong? Yes or no? She says she's making money. They maybe needed the money, so she's taking care of the bills. You got to tip your hat to her for saying, I'm not just going to be here. Look, men all the time, like, well, women, you get a job too. She got a job. It just happened to be an OnlyFans page. Man, I feel bad for Joe Smith, man.
You want Formula first great. At this?
Say what?
I said, you want first stab at this? Yeah. Okay. I take it. First of all, I say stop. As young people say, stop the cap. If I'm mad because you have an OnlyFans page, I'm not gonna say violent because someone's gonna clip that, but I'm big mad that you're gonna videotape people while you tell me that you have an OnlyFans page and put me out there.
His back was turned at first, so I don't think he knew he was being taped.
And
once you're being taped, you better not use no hands. Now you're really in trouble.
So now he comes back here, he finds out he's going viral. So not only do you have OnlyFans, but now you put it out there. You put it out there about us. I think it was a publicity stunt. I don't know if maybe he mismanaged his money. Maybe he got some bad business dealings. I think it was on the Cadillac dealerships he bought that didn't really pan out the way that he's supposed to. And hey, we got to go viral because I know for a fact that you looked at her page. I'm not gonna try to front you in front of everybody, but I know for a fact you looked at her page after that. So there was some viral moment. People want to see who the heck she is. Well, hey, wait. Hey, rewind. What's her name again?
Right.
And they're
What's
trying
her
to see
name?
what's
Let me
going on.
see
They're
that
trying
one.
to see what
yeah.
it do.
I like this song. No, it's like I really like this song. I was just jamming to the song, man. I believe in music quality.
So I don't believe it. I think if I want to humor them and say, is it true? That's absolutely terrible that you have an OnlyFans page and you're married. I don't care what you did before. You know, he married you despite that, but you going out there doing things tough. Maybe he need to see if he can play a couple more seasons.
Here's the only thing I would say to counter that is that I think it was disgusting to not only, find out that way, but then you record him finding out that way. Yes. I mean, there's some sanctity of the privacy of our conversations needs to be protected. So I agree with you. So I would not go to them for marriage counseling, but we all, as providers, protectors, as hustlers and entrepreneurs, we all find revenue streams that we might not necessarily, upon discovery, upon the call, upon the idea, upon the execution of said idea, go back and tell our wives that we've created this revenue stream. So there are women coming to her defense and saying she did what she had to do. Maybe they needed money. She helped provide. She should get a pat on the back for being a part of the solution or whatever financial troubles that they might have been facing. And I'm just saying what they said because I don't believe it, but I'm saying what they said. We're going to ask the Ball Hog Sports Talk world, for those who are watching live, do you think she was wrong to have an OnlyFans page as can I say happily married woman? They didn't look very happy in that particular video, but maybe they are happily married women. Let's just say, was she wrong for having an OnlyFans page? Because I know they ain't on there singing gospel songs. She's showing some things. That's what OnlyFans is. And then did she add insult to injury by not telling him and disclosing it in the manner that she did? She never disclosed it.
She must have been holding out, though, because if he didn't realize why she had all this money, that's a different thing. She must be holding out.
I ask y'all, ETP, you get the last word on it, man. But I'll say this before I kick it over to you, ETP. Joe Smith, once he discovered that he was being recorded, I don't care how mad you are, you're being recorded. So, don't do nothing stupid because it's on film, Jack, and she doing it live. So you don't get too close. Don't and maybe she was recording it for her own protection because finding that out could very well lead to some domestic violence.
If you got that in you, it's coming out.
You got that in you, it's coming out there. ETP, I'll give you last word on it, man, before we go home on a few topics, a little lightning round topics. What you got for us, man?
I mean, I think it's all publicity. Like, I can't imagine that she went live and told him in front of whoever her live audience or whatever it was that she had an OnlyFans without some level of intention. Maybe whether he was in on it or not, I'm not sure, but I guarantee it increased her OnlyFans subscribers or however that works because of the publicity behind it. Now people know who didn't otherwise know. But shout out to Joe Smith. He was a monster at Maryland. That's all I've been thinking about. He was such a ball at Maryland. Like, I don't care about none of this. I was just like, damn, he was nasty in college.
He was nasty, man. He was nasty. Might have been a little ahead of his time. I think he would thrive in today's game.
Yeah.
A little ahead of his time. Yeah, but he was nasty. He was kind of an sort of betweener. Wasn't a big man. Wasn't really a guard. Like, those dudes are thriving right now. So, all right, great discussion on it, man. Let's. But in this episode of Pay Attention to the Signs, I thought that was a very interesting blurb that she used. You knew what it was when you married me. That's just never a good defense, right? Because we all evolve, we all change, we all grow, we all make sacrifices in the spirit of marriage. But essentially she was saying, you should have paid attention to the signs, dog. This was bound to happen. We, as basketball fans, should have paid attention to the signs. And I will admit that I was wrong because Wemby went off last night. And the second time in a few days, he got a chance to go head-to-head with the person they compare him to most. who is Kevin Durant, KD, as a slim reaper, tall, thin, can do anything at any point, score at 3 levels, can defend, and shoot, dribble. He does all the things that at one point somebody that size, 7'4", however tall he is, couldn't do. Wemby went off last night, 38-10. San Antonio got the second dub against the Suns, and this time Book was back. Book was back. Wemby went off. Is this the beginning of the inevitable of him becoming what is going to be a Hall of Fame career? Air France is in the building. The continued shift from America dominating the game to it being more international. Does Wemby going off last night, is that the sign we need to finally shut people up like yours truly? B. Brown ES2 said he too thin. I don't know that. The man had 2 steals, had 2 blocks, along with 38 and 10. Is this the sign that we need to finally shut people like me up? I'll start with you on this one, ETP.
I think Victor Wembanyama is the most out of this. Like, he had his nickname of the alien is exactly that. It looks like somebody is behind a screen playing basketball who's like normal proportional sizes, like a 6-foot athlete inside of us. It's like watching the movie Avatar. Like, he can move like a guard and he can reach for anything. The amount of mistakes that he corrects just by having a 35-foot wingspan and catching the ball when it's going in other directions. I do think it's way too early to anoint him as, the next generation or the generational talent. Like, he's a generational talent, but he's 5 games in. He's getting better every minute of the game. Playing Phoenix, they were down 20 plus essentially for 40 minutes of the game. They came back, tied it, and then San Antonio absorbed that and then beat them, I think, by 9 or 10. So he's the real deal. He's got the mentality. He's been a pro athlete for multiple years at this point. He's not walking into a situation like deer in headlights and trying to figure out the spotlight. It's obviously a bigger stage, but he's been a professional athlete for a couple years now. So that part of it, he manages really well. He can handle all of the pressure. He seems to have the mentality. The X factor is going to be health. And as long as, even if he just plays at the level that he's playing right now for 10 years, he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. And who knows if he's in the conversation for greatest ever.
Big Flow Show.
I owe that man an apology. I thought he was going to be trash. I'm so impressed that he played against the Suns and they were just clowning him on how he was getting done, blah, blah, blah. He comes back. The Suns get one of their 2 stars back. Somebody's still sitting out, right?
Bill's
still out. So they get one of their 2 stars back, and he in 2 days he makes adjustments, and by far looks like the best basketball player on the court. That is an impressive. He's 5 games in, and this dude's already cleaning up the little mistakes he had to do, and making things look easy. Looks unstoppable. So I don't. And he's 19 years old.
Yeah, I think that's where having been a professional already, you take the criticism, you take the unbelievable hours of commitment and additional work that Pop and the staff at San Antonio is probably putting at his doorstep. And you handle it like a professional. You make adjustments, you do the extra work, and you get the results. And I think that's where internationally, I think that, and look, we over here talking about Mikey Williams and Mackenzie Mgbako, being thugged out at Taco Bell and hanging out in San Diego. I think that's where internationally they've got it right. Because in a way, introducing the professionalism aspect to the players early, it helps you avoid some of those pitfalls. Dude looks good, man. I know when I'm wrong. I pay attention to that sign because he's not going to get any shorter between now and the end of his career. He ain't getting no shorter. And on average, just looking at I got this book here, looking at mankind, it's not going to be a dime a dozen to be 7'4" before the end of his career. That's going to be unique. He shoots the ball like a guard. He handles the ball like a guard. And ETP, to your point, the X factor is just health, right? His approach seems very professional. We'll see when he gets his first arm sleeve tattoo, because right now he still look like he's from France. At some point, right, the culture might, You
start listening to that rap music. You say,
that's going to be the cheapest, cheapest sleeve ever, and because while it's length, the man arm ain't but so big.
That's the distant second, risk is he either falls due to injury or he starts hanging out with Ja Morant.
Or he finds a young lady and doesn't pay attention to the signs. She got OnlyFans page, and now he doing dumb stuff. So let's hope that
Zion Williamson's on the court.
Yeah,
you can weather that storm.
He's back. Even that doesn't prevent you from playing ball. He's back. I'll go home with this one. We got a few quick ones. Lightning round. Josh McDaniels and Jimmy Garappalo have been given sort of the boot. Josh McDaniels officially given the boot. And Josh McDaniels, when in this episode of Pay Attention to the Sign, as a head coach in the NFL, is 20-33. Yet Josh McDaniels was ordained, identified as the next coming as a coach. 20-33 as a head coach. I wish I could say I was surprised. I'm not surprised. His interim replacement is none other than the linebacker who played with the Giants, Antonio Pierce. And while I'm happy to see this young brother who had some recruiting allegations and struggles at Arizona State before taking on the NFL job, I'm happy to see this young brother get the job as the interim head coach. This dude gonna talk about, the Raiders, baby. I grew up in NWA. I'm like, no, don't do it. Don't do it. So I wish him well. Don't make any NWA comparisons anymore, my brother. Because this league is facing a lot of challenges, but I'm happy to see you get an opportunity. I am not surprised whatsoever that Josh McDaniels has had yet another failed stop in the NFL. I am a bit surprised because when you say pay attention to the signs, Jimmy Garoppolo, when you look at his winning percentage, you look at his completion percentage, this one came out of left field. He has been relegated to the bench. Maybe just need some time there to think over some things. But that offense looked horrible. And the only thing that made it worse is they had a national televised game. And so the whole football world got to see just how bad they looked. And they exceeded every expectation of looking bad. They looked horrible. Jimmy Garoppolo has gone out of his way to look what I thought was the best receiver in the NFL look pedestrian. There were two what could have been a 90-yard touchdown. Another one could have been a 60-yard touchdown. And Jimmy Garoppolo made sure, right, on the one that could have been a 90-yard touchdown, he threw it 3 yards out of bounds. He made sure he is not allowing that man to look great. That's why people are calling for him to get traded. He's the best receiver in the game. He's playing one of the worst quarterbacks in the game. So sometimes the signs can be misleading. With Josh McDaniels, I think they told everything that they needed to tell, and yet the NFL thought that this young up-and-coming coach was somehow, some way going to get it right. The signs lied to us when it came to Jimmy Garoppolo. He got paid for it, but the Vegas Raiders are in the basement of the NFL right now. I wanted to also mention that the Texas Rangers win the World Series. But in winning the World Series, right, that might be news to most because most people didn't know the World Series was going on, most sports fans.
Is that baseball?
That's baseball. MLB.
Poker. That's poker.
In doing so, we got to talk numbers. When it comes to viewership, in 2016, there was an average of 22 million people that watched the World Series. In 2023, down to 8 million. Game 2 of this World Series was the lowest ever viewership for a World Series game. Game 3 was lower than that. So it don't take no mathematician, no rocket science, no physicist, or nothing like that to come up with the reality that this World Series has the first and second on the all-time lowest viewership games. Game 4 was the lowest Game 4 ever in a World Series. And MLB, and I think they tried to pay attention to the signs, which is why they tried to speed up the game and do all of those things. But you got to pay attention to the signs still because it's not enough adjustment. People still aren't watching. Let's go home with a very brief but meaningful moment of silence for Bobby Knight before we have our Ball Hog Spotlight moments. While he is probably most associated with throwing chairs and antics, you can't deny that national champion coach on the court, and by all accounts, especially Isaiah Thomas, a really good developer of human beings and men off the court. Rest in peace. Condolences to his family. Bobby Knight, the head coach, former head coach of Indiana University Hoosiers, dies at 83 years old this week. Let's go home with the Ball Hog Spotlight moment. I'm going to go to you first, ETP. What you got for us? You know what it is. It's the middle of the court. They pass you the ball. The spotlight is on. We need a play. And only you can make it. The Ball Hog Spotlight moment is yours. Anything from sports, business, entertainment you got for us. What you got, my brother?
So for everybody that has been feeling the void that they can't have fashionable undergarments while being an NBA fan, there's a new deal in place with Kim Kardashian's Skims brand and the NBA. So Big Flo, you could get your lingerie popping.
I've been waiting. This is the shit I've been waiting on.
Chicago Bulls.
Hey, we are untapped market. I've been waiting on this shit to get in touch with my feminine side. You know what I'm saying? Some shit. Yeah. Isn't that motherfucker? Is that her version of Spanx? Is that what that is?
It is. It looks sort
man,
of like that.
If somebody can make Spanx acceptable for a man my size, you know how sexy I look. If I brought my shit in a little bit.
Hey, listen, I was half joking.
But you started going a little too far. My bad.
But
so this is now valuable information for Big Flo.
Kim K's figured out how to create a relationship with NBA, officially or unofficially. This is officially good for her. Shout out to you.
I don't understand the partnership, but okay. The most fittest men in the world wearing Skims, or she just trying to get access to all these NBA dudes.
I don't know. ETP called it fashionable undergarment. Back in my day, we just called it draws. She making money off people draws.
I'll save the jokes about Kim Kardashian's knowledge of NBA players' undergarments.
There you go, man. That's safe. Zing. That's a safe one. We're gonna avoid that one. There you go. Don't do that.
That's my Armenian sister. I must refrain.
All right. That's kind of you.
You gotta find people like that in your family. Okay.
You gotta find them on OnlyFans, bro. Find them on OnlyFans. Yeah. That's what you find. ETP, you're passing the ball to the Big Flo show. You know what it is, man. You got the ball center court. We need a basket. We need a bucket, and the lights on you. The ball spotlight on you.
Go
Big Flo show. Anything from sports, business, entertainment. What you got for us, dog?
Thanks, boss. Man, I got my. For those of y'all that know the thing, you got to go the opposite way. Like I don't feel like I'm pointing him. You gotta reverse it. It's kind of hard to get your brain that way. I got my Northwestern full regalia on today. We're playing at Wrigley Field tomorrow. It's gonna be a memorable occasion to see my son play. And the fun fact: more football games played in Wrigley Field than any other stadium in the world, because it used to be where the Bears and used to play back in the day. The weirdness is that they had to reconfigure the field, because when Northwestern first played there, they could only go one direction and they had to flip the field every time. And I don't know how this is going to work on Saturday, but last time they had both teams on the same sideline, but supposedly they did something with the dugouts that they could get a full field in there. But I'm excited as hell to go see that. That's going to be something I never got a chance to do, to see a game in Wrigley. So we'll check it out. Hopefully I'll let my man's in there a little bit, maybe stretch his legs a little something. Right. Otherwise, I just had to be there to watch the warm up.
That is dope, man. That's a very dope environment that they get to be a part of. The connection with Chicago and Chicago area, which includes Evanston and Wrigley Field. That's really cool, man. And I hope that he gets a whole bunch of tick, not just stretch his leg. Yo, man, free little Flo, man. Free little Flo. I'm gonna give you some shirts. We're gonna have some Ball Hog Sports Talk shirts. Free little flow, man.
Never speak to me again. But okay, I probably hope you don't pick this episode up.
Let that man play, bro. I'm ready to watch my man rock, man. But it's part of the process, bro. We all went through it, man. His time is coming. Hopefully, it comes in Wrigley Field. I'll go home with this Ball Hawk Spotlight moment, man. It's Flavor Flav singing the national anthem and botched it up. Do yourself a favor, Google it, watch it on YouTube today, and you'll thank me for it. We're going to go home with that. This has been the Ball Hawk Sports Talk, where sports, business, and entertainment collide. I am your boy, B. Brown, ESQ, a.k.a. the Ball Hawk, a.k.a. the Mouth of South, a.k.a. Mr. Excessive Celebration, a.k.a. Breezy. We had the whole crew in this building today. It is where sports, business, and entertainment collide. Do us a favor. It won't cost you nothing. Like, comment, share, tag a friend, tag a foe, tag anybody you know, and please subscribe to both the YouTube channel and the podcast. And with that, we is out.